In 1918, there was a German physicist by the name of Max Planck. Max Planck won the Nobel Peace Prize for physics. In 1918, there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook, there was no social media, so no one really knew how he looked. After his newly found fame, Max Planck was asked to go all around Europe to make speeches. He had a chauffeur. On one of these occasions, one evening, his chauffeur said to him, "Mr. Planck, we've been all over Europe, and I've heard you make the same speech over and over and over again. I'll bet you I could make that exact same speech." Mr. Planck found this absolutely hilarious. He found it so hilarious that he decided to go along with the rules. And the very next speech that Mr. Planck was scheduled to speak at, he allowed the chauffeur to go up as an imposter, acting as if he was the scientist. And Mr. Planck sat in the front row with his arms crossed, with the chauffeur's hat on, watching the whole thing. But as he watched, the chauffeur put on an absolutely stellar performance. The chauffeur did such a good job, it was better than Mr. Planck himself could ever imagine doing. Mr. Planck sat back with his arms crossed and his mouth gaped wide open in absolute amazement. Unbelievable. The chauffeur did such a good job that it made Mr. Planck question his own expertise and his own ability. But just as Mr. Planck was questioning himself, a fellow scientist in the audience raised his hand and asked the chauffeur a question. When he asked the chauffeur the scientific question, the chauffeur paused. He looked the scientist right in his eyes and said, "My good fellow, your question is so elementary that I allow my chauffeur to answer that." At the moment that he said, "I will allow my chauffeur to answer that," Mr. Planck learned a very valuable lesson. And the lesson is this: information is not knowledge. See, the chauffeur had the information down pat, but Mr. Planck indeed had the knowledge. And the difference between information and knowledge is information is just information, but knowledge is the facts. Knowledge is the information. Knowledge is the skill set acquired by a person through experience and education. Which do you aspire to have? Choose wisely. TIMS. This is my story, and I approve this message. Tim's family, please, I need you to like, follow, and subscribe to our new YouTube channel, TIMS, one word, events, EVENTS.